How you doing? How you doing? And how you doing, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Petty, and I appreciate you stopping by today. And we're here to take a look at Cookie Run Kingdom again. Now, this video is going to be a little bit broken up. I got called in the middle of my first attempt at recording it. Essentially, it was my cousin who I was waiting to get a hold of me for us to go through and do some invoices for work we've been doing this month. So it was a very important call. Turns out he's not coming, so yay, we get to go back to recording. But because of that, this video is going to have a little weird jump cut, A, after this intro, and then B, about halfway to 3/4 of the way through the video. There'll be a little jump cut. I just wanted to let you guys know what that was. And yeah, that's basically it. So let's go ahead and roll into the video. How you doing? How you doing? And how you doing, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Patty, and I appreciate you stopping by today. And I know we're back to Cookie Run Kingdom again. I know we'll do a Genshin video tomorrow. I swear to God, it looks like I might get snowed in. So if that does happen, you'll get your Genshin content. I swear to God. But this game is still super cute, and I'm still having a lot of fun with it. So I thought we would try to do like a beginner's guide for it today, because there's a couple of systems going on in this game, and it's pretty interesting. So for those of you that haven't catched any of our videos before on this one, essentially this is a mix between a kingdom builder and like a gacha game. So we've got our little kingdom here that we're working on. Oops, I'm moving fireplaces around. We're living recklessly, really reckless, you know what I mean? Because that's just how life is in the Cookie Kingdom. I don't know about y'all, but things crumble out here. Okay. All right, enough with the bad jokes. And then there's a gacha element, and I have been a little bit lucky since the last time we spoke, and I've gotten both our girl espresso cookie, okay, and pomegranate, okay. This one was huge. This is an amazing support character, so getting her early on is absolutely crazy house for my account. And essentially one of the reasons why is she is both a healer and she also increases your team's attack power. And we'll get into team comps and everything here in a second, but I want to give it a real quick overview for those of you that you haven't played it. So as you're going through the beginning of the game, the first world or stage, if you will pretty much just run through. You don't really have to do a whole lot in terms of putting your team together or, you know, using resources to level anything up. It's more or less just a straight line. Once you get into World 2, you might start getting bullied a little bit. The game does start getting a little bit tougher, a little bit quicker than you normally see in gacha games. So your team's going to start coming into play a little bit sooner than you might be thinking. But early on, one of the things that you really want to focus on is making sure that you're producing stuff in your kingdom. All of these resources are either going to be used to upgrade buildings, doing stuff over here with this wish, which we'll get to in a minute. Come on, guys, stop picking on me. So you want to make sure that you have these running all of the time. If you come out of a battle, double check on your town if you think your stuff is coming up soon. Early on, everything's up really fast, so I don't think you guys need to super worry about making sure that it's absolutely always running. But you want to get yourself a good, healthy amount of the resources. One of the reasons why is the Tree of Wishes right here. So, big thing about this is one of the fastest ways to make money. And you'll realize pretty quickly early on that all of the materials that you're making are really cheap, and they really don't hit the bank at all. But once you start working on your champions and upgrading a few places within your kingdom, that's when you're going to realize they do not start you off with a whole lot of money in this game. And you pretty quickly need a way to make money, and this is absolutely the best. Now, you spend a little bit in resources, but what you get back from completing these wishes, you get well over what you invested in the resources themselves. So that's one of the bigger reasons that I say this is so important for early game people to start getting a handle on. Just because these resources will free you up to be able to do a lot of other things, to be able to work on and evolve your champions. So don't just flat out ignore it. You also want to try and get your upgrades in them as soon as possible, but it's fairly linear. You'll only be able to upgrade one or two things, and you have to get your castle level up, then you'll be able to upgrade a few things, and you got to get your castle level up again. And your castle level and everything is tied to your progression in the actual game. So I have not cleared 310 yet, and that is the last thing keeping me up from my castle. I've probably spent more time than I needed to on my castle at this point. I probably should have been rushing the scenario a little bit more and everything. But it's been fun. I love it. I love it. So, you know, these ones, again, the first level ones come up so quickly that it's... Get 30 to 50 of them and then, you know, go about your business. Don't really... I'm not obvious. Okay, real quick, I'm not saying sit here for 30 minutes and wait for this to come up 10 times so that you can get your 30 to 40. But make sure that you are checking this frequently until you get around that number, and then go clear a couple levels and everything, come back, make sure that you get all your resources up again, and then go do another thing. You know what I mean? So... pretty straightforward. Early game, you're not really going to run into anything where any of the time skips are necessary. So all of the time skips that they give you for free, either from the We Love You, I'm Sorry event, which is adorable, or from just early game rewards, save all of those. You're going to want to use those for big upgrades that you're impatient for, like potentially your castle. But that's going to be really situationally. Ideally, you want to hold on to these... for as long as you possibly can until you feel like you've got a good enough reason. And the more strenuous you are about using those, the better result you'll get out of using them down the road. And one of the great things about this is usually the games with time skips and all that stuff are those ones where people can come bully you and everything. So time constraints can be very important in a game like this, whereas in here it's more of just a convenience thing. Are you only going to be on for another 20 minutes today and your castle's 15 minutes from finishing, and you want to go ahead and get that done so you can get a whole bunch of other stuff done and then have some stuff scheduled and running when you log off for the day? Maybe you could use it then, but you could probably find a way to kill that last 20 minutes without shooting yourself in the foot for resources there. So... and you'll unlock... let me see if I can scroll out a little bit. There we go. Don't worry too much about the edges of everything. You'll unlock this stuff as you're progressing through the game. None of that is really tied to you having to pay attention. It's just part of the linear path of progression. You'll get them when it's important to you. So until then, don't worry about a lot of that stuff. Get your resources up that you can and everything. And yeah... another big thing that I want to point out about the Tree of Wishes before we kind of start moving on to characters and team comps and everything is you have 3 brackets of daily rewards. Okay, first one is you have to do 10 of these wishes and you get some rewards. Next one's 15 and you get some rewards. And then I want to say after that, you know what? Let's see if we can just check it real fast. Come on, give us something good. I'll take that. Ooh, I'll take that too, actually. And then the last one is going to be what, 20, 25? Somewhere in that wheelhouse? 20. Okay, so you can do it 35, 45. You get 45 of these before you stop getting rewards for the day. Should you stop doing them then? Probably, unless you really need to make money for someone that you're working on character-wise. You don't want to overdo that and then end up wasting a bunch of your resources. Now, the stuff you get from completing these are essentially building upgrade materials, so while that's nice and good, it's also, you know, not so great that spending anything after you've completed this 3rd daily tier is absolutely worthless. You're still getting the money, you're still getting the experience going to your account, so it's not a terrible idea. But ideally, you want to only do that in situations where it's like, crap, I just got this character, or I want to do this with this character, maybe change around some of their stuff, and you need money for it and you're broke. Okay, if you've done all these for the day and you want to come in here, do 3 or 4 of them to get enough money for what you're doing on your character, that's fine. That's perfectly okay. That's perfectly okay. But ideally, you don't really want to, you know, waste too many more resources in this because they come up each day. So to be able to complete this each day and get all those building upgrades takes a good amount of resources. So you want to make sure that you're clicking on all your stuff down here as good as you can. See, we got a full thing of jelly beans right now. We're going to go ahead and get that back up before we start looking at characters. Anything else? Oh, sugar. Sugar all day. Gotta get my resources up, man. It's a thing. It's a thing. Alright, so let's take a look at some of our people. One of the things that I want to mention real fast before we start going in on this is probably one of the... If you think of a roller coaster and the part of the ride at the very beginning where it takes you up really, really, really high before it drops you down and starts doing all that, the build up in this is extremely low. What is making me say that? So a staple in gachas is your gear. And that's what we have right over here with our toppings, right? Little bit of a interesting mechanic this game has is you don't get access to all of your things right away. You have to get level 10 with your champions before the top one's available. Level 20 for your second one, and so on and so forth. So you end up needing to get some pretty good levels into this dude. I want to say 25 is the max level when you'll have all of it unlocked. Yeah. Oh, nope, 30. So we get another one at 15 here, then we get another one at 20, then we get one at 25, and then we get one at 30 down here. That's a while. That's a decent amount of game time. At least for your average person, 5 to 10 hours before you're, really getting up there. Maybe a little bit more if you're a super casual player. If you know life this, I'm sure you can get up there in half a day or so, maybe closer to a full day. But it takes a little bit of work. There is definitely a much slower build up to this before you're really getting in and building your characters. So that's interesting to me. Most of these games will give that to you a lot quicker. So I find it interesting how they're balancing the resource management. Because at the end of the day, any gacha game whatsoever is really a resource management game with different kind of films put over it. And at the end of the day, what you're really doing is finding the best way to use your resources and getting that little bit of serotonin in your brain. And I think it's interesting that they're stretching that out a little bit in this game. We'll see how that translates towards endgame and if this endgame is even really satisfying in that game. I'm not anywhere near that, so I can't speak on that portion yet. Don't expect to boot it up and then straight away start throwing runes and everything, or excuse me, toppings on your people. It's going to take a little bit of time before you get up to that point. So since that's kind of a backseat thing for us right now, let's actually take a look at putting our teams together a little bit. So let me back out real fast. And there's some other stuff we can touch on that screen, but we'll go back and do that. Excuse me. Alright, so say we want to... I don't know why we're all the way back there. Go into this level right here. So let's take a look at the team that I'm running at the moment, and I'm gonna tell you right now I'm the most unhappy with my front line. I really want to replace Strawberry Cookie as soon as humanly possible. I already feel like I've leveled her up too much, and that I'm just a day or two away of pulling another character, and then I'll never touch her again. So that level 12 she is right now is completely worthless once I get something better. But I've kind of needed the second front line because the amount of damage that I'm catching in just Area 2 is crazy. But past that, what are our roles here right now? So we've got our front line. Those guys are obviously soaking up damage. This guy's got knockback, and he's got a taunt built into him, and she's got a little bit of stun on her. Followed immediately by my espresso. That girl is showing up to bully people. All right, and we're back. So we were just starting to take a look at my espresso. Now this is essentially the one true damage dealer on my team, and she is absolutely goated. Like, she does gross damage. Pulling her early on was absolutely huge. That is not a recommendation to tell you guys to go spend money if you did not happen to pull her with the full free crystals and everything. But you also get a lot of crystals through leveling up in the beginning of the game. I didn't get her with my initial crystals. I got her with the crystals that I got basically from just progressing and unlocking and completing challenges in the game. So your boy pulled her, and she's absolutely amazing. And her role is a little bit unique, that she essentially has an AoE that draws enemies into it. So when you time it correctly in waves, you can catch the entire wave in it, and they take a bunch of damage. I've blown through 10-15 levels where it was one-shotting everything with its final explosion. I'm now getting to the point to where it leaves something just an itty-bitty bit alive, but for the most part, it's still absolutely bullying stuff. So you want to have at least one dedicated damage dealer, and it's probably going to be our girl here. She's the one that the game gives us for free. Chili Pepper Cookie is absolutely amazing, and she decimates backlines. If you time her skill well, you can, basically try to focus it on the biggest group in any wave to try and have that, blast those guys down before they start damaging your team. That can be a really impactful way to avoid damage if you're doing some of the tougher fights in Second World and your frontline people are just getting bullied. Because it will happen. It will happen. But let's take a look at the rest of the team. So my back two line people, we've got my healer / support where she's increasing everybody's attack power. And then I've got our buddy here. And I honestly wish I could say he was here for the damage, but he is not. He is here solely because he is increasing my party's attack speed. So with the combination of these two back units of getting increased attack power and increased attack speed, for an early game team, this team is doing phenomenally well. So you want to try and get some utility onto your team. Could I potentially get to the point where I need to switch him out so that I have a little bit more heals? Because Pomegranate is great, but she is not your full-time healer. She just doesn't put enough out. You still almost want to have another support. I'm bypassing this by trying to get enough damage with our boy Pancake here so that we don't really have to worry about the fact that we're a little under where we want to be for healing. But this is the kind of stuff that you want to be thinking about when you're putting your teams together. Early on, Clover's one that you might get. She is pretty decent. She's going to remove debuffs and do a heal over time. Now again, not great and not enough to be a real dedicated healer. But if you have a similar spot like I do with Pancake, where you're kind of trying to fill in a good support role, 100% can recommend either him or her for the removing debuffs. That can be pretty strong early on. And I mean, really outside of that, you kind of just want to keep bullying people. There's a fair amount of stuff, and when you're getting here towards the end, you'll have replaced a lot of your early game units. So the only other thing that I really want to touch on, and I think we kind of already did beat the horse a little to death, when I was talking about how I've already kind of regretted how much I've had to put in a strawberry cookie. You want to be thinking about what units of these are you actually going to be taking and using for a while. For a lot of people, that's going to be healers like our boy over here, which we can actually promote. I'm just a little bit broke right now, so we don't want to spend it because we're not really using them on our team. Once we get to the point to where our Pomegranate is not cutting it and her heals are not enough, we're probably going to have to take our boy Pancake out, lose a little bit of damage, and bring this man in so that he can help carry us with heals. But he is someone that is going to be a relatively solid investment for most people, because you can use him until you get towards the end of the game. Now, hopefully by the time you've gotten to that point, you are able to get some more of the, dedicated broken healers like we were talking about in our video the other day, like Herb Cookie. Excuse me. And you could also bring Mint Choco in there, though he's more support. He's kind of same line that my Pomegranate is in right now. Sparkling Cookie might not be a bad healer for you. But end of the story, or moral of the story is that Custard will take you a good little ways. So this is a man that is a lot safer to put investments in than my Strawberry Cookie is. So hopefully you guys are getting a little bit more luck on that front. Out of all of my people, I really think that my front line is the absolute weakest at the moment, so I would love to get a character that could boost this up. We just haven't gotten lucky yet, so we're having to make do with that, but without over-investing in anything. Because again, I'm not going to be able to use some of these people towards endgame. But I think that more or less covers all the major things that I wanted to hit on for kind of a new player guide. So if there's any specific questions that you have that I didn't touch on in this video, definitely feel free to leave a comment and let me know. I'll do my best to answer them. Other than that, yeah, that's basically it. We're definitely going to do some follow-up videos on this game as we get a little bit further into it. But now that I've been able to get, a good first look video out on it, a good overview of some of the best units to look out for, and a pretty decent beginner's guide to it, we're going to do a Genshin video. I swear to God, thank you all for sitting through all of this. And yeah, 1.3 is right around the corner, so we'll see what happens with all that. Hopefully we'll have a good amount of news that we can talk about for Genshin tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for stopping by today. I really appreciate them faces. You're going to have to catch your boy in the next one because we're out of here. Deuces.